So I'm here with Alexia. Alexia, tell us a little bit about you. I know we're talking about your journey, and you have built an incredible business here. We've connected a lot through the mom group.
Yes.
I ran into you at a birthday party.
Yep.
So that was fun, but this is our first time getting together and chatting.
Yes.
So I'm really excited.
I'm very excited too. So I have a little bit about my business is I have a spa for kids, and so a part of my business is very important to me that as a young girl that you feel comfortable in your own skin, you establish self-love and self-awareness. So a lot of my journey leading up to opening up my kids spa had a lot to do with, just making sure everybody that comes in my site between my kids and my girls that, they're loved and they're aware. And so it's been a good journey. A little bit about my journey.
Okay.
So I grew up without self-love and self-awareness. So I kind of had a crazy upbringing, a very dark childhood, just a little bit crazy, just a crazy dark world.
Anything you'd want to touch on with that, or
Yeah, I can.
in what?
So my mom was a drug addict at a
Okay.
very young age. So my mom was actually addicted to crack. Yes.
Oh, wow.
So growing up, I had that upbringing of just the beginning of my childhood was chaos.
Did you have siblings?
Yeah, I had a little sister. I'm the oldest. So I have a little sister that was 4 years younger than me. So I was like the mom instantly. Yeah. And then my stepdad was very abusive, wasn't good to my mom, just very, very abusive. I was actually telling my therapist one day, one of my first memories was my mom screaming for help and my stepdad had a shotgun to her. Yeah,
Well,
so it was just like...
That's dramatic, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So to be a mom nowadays I was actually talking to my kids and I was just like, what's the most traumatic thing you've been in your life? My kids are 13 and 9 now. And Abby's just like, I got stung by a bee. Do you remember? And then my oldest daughter was just like, Mom, you don't remember that one time you almost chopped my head off in the window because you're rolling out the window and you didn't see my head was out? And I'm probably sure her head was out the window and you started.
But just the drama, yeah.
Just the drama. But I'm just like, thank God, like, this is my kids' trauma in their life right now compared to, like, the upbringing of my trauma.
And how does that must feel so great for you as a mom to...
Oh, it's like definitely one of the most empowering things. And so I am a single mom and I've been a single mom. So I had my kids at a very young age. My oldest, I had her at 18 and my youngest at 22. So I didn't even know myself at that age. I like instantly came from a crazy childhood upbringing, being like in charge of myself at 14. I was working full time. Like I just like bought my first car at 15, 16. Like I was never in school, so just I was always working and constantly. So I never really got to figure myself out. But whenever I became a mom, I knew my ultimate goal was like I need to give these kids a better life than what I ever had. So
And you've done that.
Yeah, but it's not easy. I mean, I am like so blessed. I could never, if you would ask me back then, do you think you would be at where you are now? I would have been like, no. Like, I just never would have thought I would have accomplished so many things.
Well, statistically, I mean, you were set up to continue
those
patterns, like growing up like that. And that's so intense. That's not just regular trauma. Those are some serious things that are very hard to get through. And I think it's so much easier for us to repeat it and not do the work. So how are some ways that you kind of got through all of that? And then also being such a young mom, because I feel like at 18, you're not even at the point of like, oh my gosh, I have trauma. Yeah. And then you're also having to raise kids. I mean, how did you get through that?
So I didn't know I had trauma until I was probably like about a couple years ago, until my youngest needed love from me in different ways. I was never gave love. My youngest is a very emotional child. I was not. My emotions were made to mute, and so my oldest and my youngest is different. So I didn't even know I had trauma until I just instantly, when I became a mom, I'm like, I had to do everything right. I need to be different. I need to go to school, go to college, be a good mom. So I'm like working full time, going to college, doing everything on my own. And then finally, whenever I was with her dad. We separated, and I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna up and move to Florida. And I moved whenever my youngest was 6 months old. We're from Ohio. So I had a 4-year-old and 6
Why
months
Florida? Was there a reason, or
old.
was
I
it
had
just
family down here.
okay?
Yeah, I had a cousin that lived in Naples. So I moved down here to Naples. My kids were about 9 months and 4 years old, and I remember just staying with my cousin. I just moved down here, staying in like her greenhouse on a bed on the floor with my 2 kids, like just because I just up and left everything. I was like, you know what? This is gonna be a different life. Sacrifice is gonna have to be made, and I just ended up working, saving up. I just knew I didn't want to send my kids to daycare. I wanted to be somebody. I wanted to like be a good example for them. And I love doing hair and doing my kids' hair. And then in Naples, there was not a lot of people that could do ethnic hair either. So I became like a hair fairy for all the little girls. So and then I just ended up by finding myself on this journey and just finding my purpose in life and fulfilling it.
What was the moment where you decided to open the salon? Like, how did that happen?
So I had a guardian angel. I became so popular with my name. Different businesses were hiring me out, like to do events with them, like in play or like going to private parties, like how you met me, going out to houses. And there was a really good client of mine, and they were like, "Well, when are you gonna open up your own shop? Like you have a purpose. Like we see the good in you. Like." You do so well with kids, and like, establishing trust with parents is hard, but I've established a lot of trust with parents because kids are valuable, and my heart means well with kids. I just love kids. Like if they're in my presence, they're always safe. Mm-hmm. And they were just like, well, we have a plaza, we own a plaza, and we have a shop empty. If you want to take a chance and open up your own place, we would love to like guide you. So I was just like, yes. I like tear up thinking about it.
You're gonna make me tear up.
Yes. She was like, I always say
this might be the first episode where I'm gonna be crying.
Yes, she was like my guardian angel. Someone helped them open up their first business like 20 years ago, and they were just like, let me take you up under our wing. We're not gonna be a part of it. Just like we just want to see you like blossom because you are like a flower. I was just like, okay. So almost 3 years later, I've had my shop, and it's been very successful. My name has been everywhere.
I can attest to that. I see you everywhere.
Oh, yes.
Everyone loves you. You just seem like such a kind soul.
Yes.
And that's very hard to come by, especially, I think, with what you've been through.
I read something the other day. It takes, for a kind soul, you have to go through some type of darkness to develop that you're kind. So...
Do you feel like you were kind of able to heal through your kids a little bit and through doing this? Do you think that helped with everything?
Oh, yes.
Because I feel like I've noticed that with my kids because
it's like a
shitty
superpower.
Childhood. Yeah.
It's like a superpower. Once you have kids, you're like, nothing is impossible. Mm-hmm. Like we're gonna go to the moon and back, and you just have this vision, and you don't know how you're gonna get to those means, but you have this vision that I'm gonna give you the best life you're ever gonna have, and you end up by doing it.
Did you ever did anyone like not believe in you or like try to knock you down? So what did you do with that? Because it's a big idea. Like opening up a brick and mortar place and having that kind of, it's a huge commitment.
Yeah. You know what? I definitely had someone tell me that I wouldn't be worth a dime, and that, another business owner, like I've dealt with some pretty mean people. Yeah. And I come from like a humble place. So when I seen Naples is so much bigger. So when I seen the different people in Naples and some of the good and ugly with it, it was just like kind of more fuel to my fire, mm-hmm. Listen, I'm going to prove you wrong, because all my life I've been shown, oh, you're a single mom at 18, you're a single mom at 22, or, you've done all these made wrong choices in life, you're not going to be anywhere, so I've always been told you're not going to be nothing, so it's like good to like prove people wrong. And even when you're being told that, like even from like your immediate family, from like the choices that you made, mm-hmm. like, so it's always just like a push to be something, to prove to yourself that these people have no idea.
Yeah. And it is, I mean, it's very hard when that comes from the people that are supposed to be loving you unconditionally and being there for you and supporting you. And I mean, I came from a past of an abusive mom who was an alcoholic and
so you know what it's like.
Yeah. So she would always knock me down and I was never enough and I was never pretty enough. And I would be like, Mom, I want to lose 20 pounds. And I was already skin and bones at that point. Yeah. She's like, okay, like I'll help you. I'm like giving me an eating disorder.
Yeah.
And just like, continuously being knocked down. I think at a young age, you grow up feeling like I'm not worthy and you have to rebuild that. And I think for me, which I'm sure you can relate to with daughters.
Yes.
I feel like having my first, I started building confidence. Like, okay, because I think you kind of have to as a mom, because now you're protecting your kid. Yeah. So you have to speak up more and you have to find that other, kind of version of yourself. But then finding out I was pregnant with a daughter, I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
Like now I've got to, like, how can I teach her to be confident and be happy with herself if I'm not happy with myself?
Yes.
So I need to get my shit right and work through my own stuff and my trauma.
And a happy mom is everything.
Exactly.
A happy mom holds a house together.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It's challenging. That's one of my biggest challenges too, is the, constantly, I say it's a psychological mask. Like you just constantly have to be happy and, like aware and aware of their feelings. And even though you're feeling feelings because you're unhappy with some of the decisions, like it's hard. And
it's like you want to find a balance where they see you being vulnerable, because they want to, like, you want to be able to have those conversations and you're not perfect. But at the same time, it's a lot of just, I mean, I can't imagine, as a single mom, like just being strong.
Yeah.
So how do you balance it all? How do you, I mean, especially managing a place,
a business,
and then, so how do you do that?
My faith, I mean, I do it. Sometimes I surprise myself. I'm like, every day I'm just like, you know what? We won today. Some days I win some days I lose some. I look at life like every day is going to have a challenge and you can't take that challenge on to you with the next day. Like either you beat that challenge of the day or you don't beat it. So in the next day, we're just going to be facing new challenges because that's what life does. I don't know. I do it. By the grace of God.
Tell me, excuse me. Tell me about opening a location.
Yes.
So I don't have much, experience with that. But I think a lot of people, might wonder like, oh, I want to have a store one day or I want to have a salon or whatever. What was the process like getting it started and what things came up that maybe you didn't expect, or like, what would you tell someone that's like, I want to open my own place?
Establishing a good staff is the biggest
How did
thing.
you do that? Because staffing is hard.
You have no idea.
That's I could talk about that for a really long time. So please tell me what you discovered through that.
You have to find people's passions and my biggest thing, because I work with all females. So
love that.
And I'm a mom too with 2 daughters. So I have like no men in my life. I'm just constantly around females.
Do you like that?
Sometimes
good and bad.
It's good and bad. It makes me not respect men as much because I'm such a strong female. I'm just like, I can accomplish so much.
You need a very like healthy masculine man.
Yes. And that's so hard to come by in today's society. Very. But I would learn to not react to everything. Everything does not need a reaction. Yes. And females are so emotional. Like my staff, I feel so privileged to lead them. I'm leading. I work with they're younger, so I have like between like high schoolers out and like in college.
Okay.
So anybody like in the beauty industry that loves like the makeup and the hair, but they're all like, I love them. They're awesome, but they're so sensitive to everything.
Yeah, everything is a mental health crisis, I think.
And I love it though. It makes me it made me so much more aware of how I presented myself when I need to confront situations, how I could lead by example, how I could, back in Ohio, like when things go wrong, I was so used to just isolating and doing it myself. Like, never mind, get out the way. I have to do this,
Yeah.
you know? I'll figure it out myself. But now I had to learn to be like, no, let me teach them, let me guide them, let me show them healthy ways of working, you know?
So I think there's kind of a controversial, not controversial, but I feel I get a lot of mixed opinions on the newer generation in terms of hiring. What are your thoughts? And do you think Gen Z just really doesn't want to work? Do you think they're just not being led properly? Do you think it's that they have other options now? Like, what do you think that it is?
I think it's very hard for them to stay off their phone. So they're very sidetracked. They're very, I will tell my workers, listen, I don't pay you to be on your phone. Do not be on your phone.
Do you
in front
just
of
say
parents.
it directly? So
Oh,
like if you see someone, and how do they handle that?
I don't really I will tell them, and then I'll go pay attention to the child that's right here.
Yeah.
And then I just walk away. So I really don't
You don't make it a whole thing.
Yeah.
You're just like,
don't be on your phone again.
Okay.
Don't let this happen. So,
And will they listen?
Yeah, they listen, but then the next day or 3 days later they come in. So it's like a constant micromanaging, you have to micromanage, and I'm hoping it'll just click, sometimes it'll just click to them hey, this is what I have to do when I come in here. But no, so this generation, you just have to have a bulletin board with each task that needs done of the day.
Yeah. And do you use a productivity software? Do you have anything to manage that for them, or is it kind of just you day by day? Here's what needs to get accomplished.
So it's kind of like that, because with kids, I work with kids, so you don't know how the day is gonna go.
True.
And we could be doing hair, and then one kid is, flipping their shit because they're not getting their nails done. So it's a constant
you're pivoting a lot.
Yeah,
I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Or this kid is upset, so we're constantly switching. So I do have to tell them what to do. For the most part, my girls are really good. It takes them about 3 months, and then they just kind of click in. But trust me, I've had some rotten apples before where I'm just
I think, yeah. And I think people tend to, and I've talked about this, before, it's people tend to keep people that they deep down know shouldn't be there just because they'd rather, it's easier than finding someone else. But it's really, you're just ruining the culture, stressing yourself out, doing more work in the long term. So when you see someone that you're oh, this might not be, do you go ahead and just goodbye?
Yeah, I had to learn that the hard way.
Yeah.
Yes, I definitely had to let someone go that was a good friend of mine, and it was a very sticky situation.
You hired a friend?
Yeah, I mean, it was more of a kind of a soul, a sister, she was really younger than me, so I just kind of took, I just felt for her. She was going through a lot of the steps that I went through, so I was a mentor, became into a friend, and then I hired her. But it was a little bit of a sticky situation, so.
Are you guys still?
No, just because I have such a professional image now, and no one really ever tells you how lonely it is when you do open up a business. That
is true.
It is very.
Don't hire friends and family, everyone.
Yes. Even your kids will try to take over your business.
I think something for me that was hard in that area, and I won't get into it too much because everyone's gonna listen to this, but I think I wonder what's your Enneagram? People are gonna be like, Brittany, stop. But I ask everyone, do you know your Enneagram number? Because we seem kind of alike in this. We'll talk about it later then.
I don't know.
But it's very easy for me to separate work and personal.
Yes.
So I can come into the office, and if it's whoever, and be here's what we need to do, very direct, and be the same with everyone.
Yes.
But I think sometimes they don't understand how to do that, and everything becomes personal.
Yes.
And I cannot work with you if everything is a personal problem.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, love you, my business needs to succeed.
Yes.
So I'm not going to have the business suffer for the sake of your feelings.
Yes.
And I think that's also something that comes into the newer generation, is everything is very feeling oriented.
Oh yeah.
And then also finding the balance of leading with empathy, because that's not something boomers do, right? We're kind of changing how we manage. I think millennials make much better managers because we're able to understand perspectives and personalities and know that people need to be led differently, but then finding the line between empathy and you're their therapist.
Yes.
is fucking hard.
It is so hard.
So I'm sure you working with young women,
Sometimes
it's,
I'm like,
you know,
what the? I'm like, what
you're
the?
like their mom kind of in a way too.
Yes.
So how do you balance that? You know, what have you found to keep it where it's not too close, you know?
You know, I leave it at work. I try not to. Like, I'll do like employee, like I'll take them out on like field trips, but I try to like, I'll, you know, work is work, and when I go home, I'm my mom life at home, and a lot of my employees respect that though too, because they see me. My kids are always with me too, so they see how crazy I am, and sometimes I'm very constructive criticism. I'm not the most empathic.
Empathetic, yeah.
Yeah, empathetic. Oh my gosh, I'm not the most, because I'm just like, listen, are we really upset about this right now? Like,
But that's good. You don't want to be,
Yeah.
you want to find what works for you. And you also need to be able to be direct.
yes, direct was one of the hardest things that I had to learn how to do, and it's definitely something that I'm a lot more comfortable with too, because I had to learn how to be direct with everybody, with kids, my employees, with the parents. You just have to be direct with everybody.
Do you deal with a lot of like annoying parents?
You have no idea. Oh my God, you have no idea.
Are there any stories you can share or no?
I had one mom tell me one time I was doing an Elsa braid wrong, and I was just like, oh, do you want to do it then?
What did you do?
I literally said that.
You
I
said that?
Yeah, I said, do you want to do it then? I have like 15 little kids wanting to get their hair done. Do you want to do this Elsa braid? Your daughter has like thin, strandy hair. It's not going to be looking like blown out Elsa. She goes like, what do you want me to do?
I can't imagine some of the Naples moms, I'm sure. Just like,
oh yes,
a lot.
Oh yes. I love it. I cater to everybody. It is definitely me and my employees sometimes, like right after we close up, we're just like,
what the fuck?
What the fuck? I had one mom tell me one time that her daughter was allergic to cold. And I was just like, so what do you want me to do? Like take her outside and warm up? I don't know. We're in Florida. I'm not going to turn my AC down.
Oh, so she was saying like she couldn't be in the AC.
Yeah. She said my shop was too cold for her. I was like, well, goosebumps, I don't really think are allergic reaction, but okay.
Oh my gosh. I can't imagine. And then also, I know with my personality, it's a struggle because you still have to think about your reputation. Mm-hmm. Another balance you have to find is how can you stand up for yourself in your business, but not make a bunch of enemies locally. Yes. You don't want to do that either. Mm-hmm. And I feel like here it's such a small town.
And you kiss. Oh, I trust me. I definitely just fake it, like put a smile on my face. So it's like
customers always right. Just like do what you got to do.
Especially when you're working with their kids. I try to hear people out, even if they're wrong. I'm just like, okay, this is their kid. They're going to be set on like what they're already set on because you're working with their kids. So let me just see how I could work with this. And then there are some people that I'm just like, no, I can't work with them.
Have you ever gotten like a shitty bad review?
I actually have. I have.
Well, I think everybody does. Cause I mean, in the roofing company and like we deal with so many people where it's like, they're just miserable and it's either something really petty or they just want someone to take out their rage on most of the time.
Yeah. I got a bad, and they spam me with bad reviews too when I got it. It was like one person, and I know it was the day of my daughter's party too.
No. So what did you do?
I just had to handle it in the most professional way because you are a professional image, even though the Ohio in me wanted to be like, listen, really? Like,
listen, bitch.
Yeah, this is what really went on. But I'm just like, okay, let me handle this in a professional way.
Yeah.
Kill them with kindness. Yeah. I don't need the customer anyway. I have all these other clients, faithful clients. Yeah, part of the bad review was saying like I had a cult following. I'm like okay.
Thank you. I would take that as a compliment. Thanks so much.
I'm loved.
I've learned it's really an art form, and dealing, I think, as a woman in like roofing, you're dealing with a lot of men who are like, well, can I talk to the owner?
Yeah.
And I'll be like, yeah, please hold. Mm-hmm. Hello? Can I help you? And if you're too nice, they'll take it. They'll use that. Mm-hmm. If you're too nice to them right off the bat, they will use you as like a punching bag. And I feel like it just makes them even angrier. Mm-hmm. So I feel like I'm finally like, I've learned to like shut it down and defend myself very directly and assertively. And that, that can be kind of intimidating at first because men can get very angry.
Oh yeah,
I mean, very mad.
they're grumpy.
Especially when, they're so grumpy. Especially when, like, they
It's
have
a
to talk to
woman.
a girl
I know.
about, like, man stuff. You know?
You
It's
don't
like,
know nothing about roofing. I've been up here on a roof.
basically.
Literally.
So just so many art forms you have to learn in dealing with people. And I think at the end of the day, like, you can have any education in the world. You could have like Ivy League schooling. If you don't know how to talk to people and deal with people, you're not going to accomplish anything.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like, that's the number one thing that you need to learn.
Yeah. And a lot of men don't even value the opinion of a woman either.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if they're
Because
over the
we're also
age.
stupid.
Yes. We're just meant to be in the house
Yeah.
and to cook and clean. Not to lead these businesses and take over the world.
Well, there's an uproar happening and I fucking love it.
I know, right? I love it.
We're taking over even the male dominated industries. So
I know.
And there's some stats I was reading, and my friend posted a cool post about it of just like how women-owned businesses are way more likely to succeed long term. And I think a lot of that is we're not as ego-driven too.
Mm-hmm.
I think men want to grow because they want to like show off, and it's like a dick measuring thing.
Yep.
And women typically want to grow for purpose and legacy and like helping people and, building something for their daughters and like what you're doing. And so I think we're kind of proving that the, ego greed, like, is not really that sustainable anymore, especially.
Let us nurture the earth now. Let us nurture the world now instead of you guys.
Exactly. We would not be in this situation in the world if women had been making more decisions.
I believe so.
So as a CEO, what are some things that are important to you in your business that you focus on, whether it's like for growth or just the housekeeping of the business, or what are some things that you've learned that are extremely important to be kind of on?
I love giving back to the community. So that's like one of the to schools. So whenever they do their festivals and their I love to give like my time. If I have my time, like I'll give like to the schools, like people in need, like, the foster care kids, any functions with those. Like I love to give my time and to take the time out my day to make these young kids feel appreciated and they're, feel good in their skin. Like, to be like, oh, look at my hair, look at my face paint, look at my makeup.
That's gonna be so fun
to
see that. And
oh my gosh.
Light up through that.
It is like, actually it was so, I was braiding one little girl's hair the other day and she looks like she's in pain, but her mom was like, I need these braids to last. Can you do it a little bit tight? And she's like, when I get braids, it just makes me want to twerk. And she's like, I just want to start twerking. And I'm just like, what? She's like, yeah, I just want to start twerking. And
how old is she?
She was probably like 6, 7.
Oh my gosh, that was hilarious.
It was like the funniest thing, but like kids are like, they're priceless no matter like what type of, I just love like giving back to just giving back to the kids.
So that's important to you, and your mission and vision is to just really give back. And I think too, it's like I said, it seems like it's healing for you.
Yeah. It takes one person to make someone, you never know what a child's going through, and children are just like these sponges. They absorb everything, and that one person can make an impact on a child's life because you don't know what they're having at their home life. So say like one little girl is having a struggle with her home life, or kids, parents are, rough on her or something, that one day she comes to the spa and she just feels good. Like, look at my hair, look at my makeup. I was that child that once, like, I wish like, like I had like that, like someone would just be like, here, come here, let me do this for you. Like, it is a lot, like, that kind teacher, that one kind person. So that is like my goal, is just to be that one kind individual that like makes a change in people's life. Like, you know what? Oh my God. Do you remember Miss Lexi? She was awesome to me. I've actually I've known some kids since they were like for like 7 years now. So it feels good that like I can like make a little impact and like, help kids and make them feel special and beautiful.
You're the person that you didn't have.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, and I had to walk with it's like hard when you have to like go in the past and walk with yourself and be like, listen, we made it. Yeah. Like we did it. Yes, we're doing it. You breaking your generational curses and you're staying strong. You don't need anybody. And that's like I think that's one of the best things about being a single mom and being a single mom, being able to have 2 successful kids and open up a business and not have a background of anybody, like, it's a very empowering thing. Like, if I could do it, anybody could do it. Because literally, I came from like trailer trash. Like, if I could do it, anybody could do it.
But you're so inspiring, and I
Thank
knew
you.
it would be a great conversation, because even the little that I've seen and just how people speak of you in the groups and just the way you present yourself, and even like your smile and like you with your kids, I'm like, she just seems like the sweetest soul, you know? And especially, like I said, I mean, going through that and turning it around and making it better for your kids, and your kids will never feel the way that you had to feel, and that's amazing.
It's huge, and they'll just be better than when they're a mother. You're going to be even better. It's just going to be like a continually good thing.
What are some business related things that you've had to learn? Because I mean, starting a business from not having the business experience and like the financial piece and all of that, like what are some things that...
So my struggle with business is learning timing, dealing with the timing. I always say I'm a slave to myself now.
Yeah.
I'm literally like a slave to myself. Like, to find the time, juggling the time is one of my hardest things, because when I go home, you want to focus on your kids, but it's so hard when your phone's still ringing, emails, text messages, website, Facebook, Instagram, all these outlets are still coming at you. And then you have to, like, this morning I woke up at 4 a.m, like, oh my God, I forgot to order the stuff for this big Nerf war event we have to do. And I'm like at 4 a.m, like thinking about what I had to order, like frantically out of my sleep. So definitely, like, my trouble is like managing my time.
Do you block? So do you have like a schedule? Because it's so hard to have a schedule with kids. I think it's, you can have like a suggestion of a schedule, like an idea of what's a good schedule. But
I like to say I have Mondays off, but if kids are out of school, we're really busy on Mondays. Yeah. It's hard. It's hard because, when you're in a business and you freshly open, I'm still trying to figure out. I'm still trying to learn. I'm trying to just learn how to. I mean, my business is successful. We're doing good, and we're bringing people in, and we're constantly getting new clients in, and the word is constantly being spread. I'm so grateful for that. It's just the bigger the word spreads, the more busier I am too. And then to find the staff and to train them. That's why I say staff is like such a big important part.
How do you find most of your staff?
Do you
use like Indeed or
no, like
word of mouth?
Word of mouth mainly. Yeah. Everybody kind of knows me, and cheerleaders are a big part of my staff. So cool. I have like some girls that are cheerleaders. I have a girl that's in drama club, and she's like,
that sounds like a good fit.
Yeah, so like peppy girls like that, or cosmetologists. So like we have like that kind of surrounding. So I would like to find more. It's hard. It's definitely hard to find staff, though. It's hard to find like the best fit. And even with the girls I have, I want to find someone long term, but you have to. When they're young, they're not so much long term. They're still developing and discovering yourself, which I love seeing. I love seeing the paths these girls are taking, and I get to be a part of it. I'm like always like one of their first boss, or like one of their first boss they love.
And no one forgets their first boss. Yeah. Whether it's good or bad. It's like you always remember that first experience. Oh, yes.
So I feel like privileged to being like their first like leader and boss. And they all tell me how much they love me and how good of an example I am to them.
That's awesome.
Yeah. One girl told me, she's like, I wish I had a mom like you. You don't understand. And I'm just like, oh, don't make me cry.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So I have my job is so rewarding and purposeful. So like, I feel like if you're in business, just make sure you feel purposeful, because even though I don't have a lot of timing, I do I feel just so like
it gives you that energy, because
I know I'm gonna
you're making an impact.
I know I'm going to make some little girl smile. I know I'm going to make somebody's day. I know one of my employees is so self-conscious, and she's so apologetic, and like I'm happy to work with her and make her stronger and confident. And to lead these females to take over the world with us, to lead strong females. But I
love that.
Yeah, it's definitely time management.
What's your vision for the next, like, I would say like 3 to 5 years? Where do you see?
I would love
yourself?
to establish a staff where I could take a step back and to like open up another location. I would love to open up another location somewhere. Yeah, I would love to. And I would love to do like a my plan is I want to do like a mobile party bus too, like a spa bus.
Oh, heck
Yeah,
yeah.
because
That would be so cool.
we always go to people's houses.
Mm-hmm.
So I would love to. That's one of my next goals I'm going to be working on. So
Awesome.
yeah, just always. But you know, time goes by so fast, and my kids are getting older, and I'm like blinking, and I'm just like let me just kind of breathe. Let me like be aware, because then that's another thing I struggle with, being a mom and a boss at the same time. Like when my kids are at my shop, and my 9-year-old, she needs, and I'm down here by myself. Their dad lives in Ohio, so it's not like I could be like, here, go to your dad's on the weekends. And I can't send them to my mom. Like, you know, my mom lives down here, but I mean, God bless her. I love her. She's amazing now. But, like, you know,
So she got clean.
Yeah, she got clean. She had 2 more kids. My little sister is 15. So my sister and my daughter are 2 years apart.
Oh, wow.
My sister works for me right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how's your relationship with your mom now?
You know what? She it's all about forgiveness. I had to stop. If you constantly put like a tag over someone's head, like if you're like a label, like you're a mom, you're supposed to be this, you're supposed to be that, you're supposed to be this. Sometimes people cannot fulfill those labels. You know, they can't fulfill that. So you just have to accept people for who they are. My mom suffered from an addiction. It wasn't her. Addiction controls your life.
Yeah.
It's a disease. So I've seen that at a young age, and I've heard their stories and their paths. I mean, I could tell you the 12 steps to anonymous, and I'm not even an addict. I could tell you that at age 10, like how, like I learned their, you know. So we definitely established a relationship. It's rocky because my mom is bipolar and she's narcissistic. So if something goes wrong with my sister, she instantly attacks me. You know, like if my little sister's upset because she does something wrong at work and I had to give her constructive criticism, my mom will attack me. Or if my mom's having a bad day, like she likes to, always said that I was my mom's mom. Like my mom always came to me for problems. Like
Mine too.
At a young age.
Mine was a bipolar narcissist with alcoholism.
So, you know, like, and maybe that's why we could switch professional to personal real quick, because I think we were like trained therapists at like age, like, you know, 6, your mom's crying to you about this.
Oh my
and
gosh,
that.
that's so true. So we're getting in the deep shit. I haven't talked about this on here yet, but my mom would have affairs and then cry to me about them, like when they like break up. And I remember being like not even 8 and thinking, which you probably felt the same way, like this is kind of fucked up. Like this is not, I feel like this isn't normal. Like, but it is normal to you. But then there's something in your mind that's like,
this isn't normal.
This isn't how it's supposed to be. But so when she would go through like a breakup, so we grew up in another country and my dad always traveled for work and he had his own stuff. But so she kind of like, she couldn't work. We're in Brazil. So it's not like she would, you know, just find any job. So her way of, I think, dealing with her own stuff was just like shopping and sleeping with a tennis coach.
I mean,
so, but then she would involve me
Yep.
in all the problems and like, oh, you know, he didn't call me today or this or that, or well, your dad doesn't love you and that's why he's never here. And like, we're going to get a divorce and all this stuff. And I'm just like, I just remember feeling so heavy all the time. Like I was the best friend and not the daughter. Was that a dynamic that you kind of like, you were a friend and not
still
the
to
kid?
this day? Yes. I still feel like when my mom calls me, I'm just like, oh my God, you're a mom, handle your own kids. Like she'll call me complaining about my brother and sister. They're young now. And I'm just like, you got to handle this, not me.
Do you resent that you don't like, because sometimes it's hard. It's like, I want someone to,
I wish.
like, where's my mom?
I want someone
to be able to call someone.
I know. I want someone to carry me. I want someone, but I'm not a religious person, but my family just always, my dad's side just always told me whenever times get hard, pray, like, you know, just pray. So I learned at a very young age, like when ugly would go on, I would just literally just kind of just say a little prayer to protect myself. Cause I was always just like, I'm so scared. Like, I don't know if I'm going to like my type of life right now. I don't know where I'm going to be at the next morning. Like, let me just pray for myself. Like, and so whenever I feel weak and alone, I'm just like, you know what? Why do I need the support. I am the support that I need. Let me just say a prayer, because I'm not going to find the support. I'm not going to have them on where I'm like, I need someone strong in my life. I'm weak right now. I need help. Like, I don't have that. Sometimes I just don't have that. So I'm just like, you know what? Let me say a prayer. Let me recollect myself. Let me just sit in my closet for 5 minutes and cry, scream, whatever I have to do.
I would sit in my closet and cry.
Oh, yeah.
All the time. That was like my safe space.
Oh, yeah, me too. Or in my car when I'm driving home and there's nobody in my house, like nobody in the car. I will literally sit in the car for like 10 minutes and just be like in silence and just be like.
A lot of my childhood memories, I had the Walkman, and I would put on some music and I'd go hide in my closet.
Yeah.
And I would just like be by myself. And I think that's why too, whenever I'm stressed, I
tend to this.
And I can't, because I feel like, I can't, it's very hard for me to rely on people and be vulnerable, because it's like when you don't have that.
Well, that's one of my biggest struggles, is being vulnerable, because being vulnerable to me is like a weakness.
I bet you're an 8, your Enneagram. But like I said, we'll talk about it later. But I feel like I feel like we might be the same, because I get that. And then it's like teaching yourself to trust people again, and that not everyone's going to leave.
And then when you do trust people, I mean, it's like a blessing or a lesson, like I had to start looking at people like it's like a season, some people are just seasonal people. So you just got to take this as a lesson or a blessing. Like either you're going to show me something in my life, but you might not be permanent. So it was a hard thing to just kind of grasp, but nothing's like even our kids are not like our goal is to teach them how to fly, like to grow up and to not need us anymore. So one day we're going to be alone, so it's scary.
It's so funny you say that, because I was just having that conversation of how society pushes the permanence of things.
Yeah.
And it keeps us from being able to grow and move forward. And we're chained to decisions or relationships that we committed to just because it's been a long time, or because that's a decision that we made. And I personally believe that most people in your life are meant to take you from point A to point B. They're meant, like you said, they're meant to teach you something, bring you somewhere, give you some kind of lesson. So that way, when the people that are in your life forever, that just makes them even like that much more important.
Yes.
But I don't think most people are meant to be permanently in your life, and that's okay.
And it is. And you have to accept that. And I feel like at a very young age, going through the things that we went through, we kind of already had to learn to accept. Because when you see people in and out, you kind of just learn to.
And when you have to like cut out your mom, which is like, that's the one person that's supposed to be there and love you unconditionally and be the person that you can come to, it kind of makes it easy when you got to like cut somebody else.
I know. I'm just like, bro, listen, I don't even talk to my mom or dad. Do you think like I'm not going to, no.
Yeah.
I'm not going to stress.
And I'm sure you got the comments of like, but that's your family.
Yeah.
But that's your mom.
I have friends. I have a good friend. And she's like the closest thing to family that I have. I have family that is not my family.
Same.
Like I have a very small family, but yeah, my family is kind of, it's a little bit crazy.
Yeah. And that's okay. And my therapist once told me, because I was complaining like, oh, I don't have a mom or dad, whatever. And she's like, we have a lot of mothers and fathers in our lives. Even with the perfect parents, they're going to fall short in some areas. So just because the void is not being filled by that person that's supposed to fill it, doesn't mean it can't fill that void. Exactly. So my best friend can bring things to my life that a mother should bring me. And it's just as valuable. It doesn't mean less because she's not my actual mom. So you need to appreciate those qualities in other people and find those things in other people. And I think society, we set like, well, this should be your mom, and this is how your dad should be, and this is how you should grow up. And so it's all that pressure.
Yep.
When it's like, really, I feel the same way. Like my friends are my family, honestly. My family's not my family. My friends are my family.
Yeah. I have clients that treat me better than my family has ever treated me. I have like that one lady that's my guardian angel that took me up on her wing. I could call my dad and my dad wouldn't even give me gas money, and then I have these strangers that see the good that I'm putting out in the world that are like, here, let us help you. We don't want your family eating rice and beans. Like, we want to see you thrive. We want to see you do good in life. Like, let me just show you, like, let me just push you on the way, like what a parent should do. Like, so I have like complete strangers that have showed me like, they're like blessings, That's
amazing.
Yeah. It's definitely, life has been crazy. Life is crazy. I was telling one of my employees, I love her. She's my assistant. She's been by my side for 7 years. She's literally like my right rib. I would be lost without her. She's awesome. She was just like, Lexi, you have a story for every day. I'm like, you have no idea. I could like go on with the stories of like what I lived through in life. And she's like, I didn't have that. And I'm just like, you know what? I had to learn in life that everybody's normal is other people's normal. You know, people are raised completely different. My normal is completely different than other people's normal. My normal is like chaos, you know, like, and some people don't do chaos. Like my normal for my kids don't listen unless I'm yelling. Like my kids will not listen unless I'm yelling. We are just a very loud family. We could just be, and it's not like I'm yelling at them, like, pick up that shit. No, I could be like, hey, Ellie, come here. Like, you know, I'm like, Ellie, come here. And they're like not paying attention. I'm like, Ellie, come here. And then, like, you know, like my family is just very, my niece just moved down here from Ohio and she's 19 and she's staying with me right now. And she kind of grew up with like, she's not like they had like 3 older sisters. They're not my blood. So I always say she's just my niece, but, she kind of grew up in like a very secluded, her mom was very strict, no cell phone, like no processed food, just very, very secluded lifestyle. And I'm just like, listen, when you come into my house, it's like I'm sure like you had a very structured house. Like our house is crazy. Like some nights we're like gone all day and like we're off schedule. We don't have like a set schedule. Like, you know, like I have a set bedtime schedule. Trust me, I'm sleeping by like 9 o'clock every day, but
same.
That's about it. But like I'm just like, listen, you're gonna walk into.
But it's messy, but it's safe.
Yeah, it's safe, and that's what I was.
And I think when you genuinely feel safe is when you can allow yourself to be messy. So I think if anything, it means your kids are more comfortable. You know, if they can like be themselves or yell or just be free.
I was actually talking to my therapist. I was like, listen, I'm having like heart palpitations like at nighttime. Like sometimes like I'll just be laying there and my heart will just like flutter. Yeah. And she was just like, well, do you feel safe? I'm like, yeah. She's like, do you have everything that's going good in your life? Like this is the first time in your life where you have a roof over your head you don't have to worry about. You have food in your fridge. You have water. Like you are a good mom. You have a job. Like this is the first time in your life that you feel safe. Of course, like your body's not used to it. Your body has been like in fight mode ever since you're born. And she's like, Lexi, you grew up like there's like a triangle of trauma, like, and typically people have the trauma like whenever they feel neglected or something, you know, like something happens to them. So like in my trauma, I went from like trauma of like not from like worrying about food and water. I remember living with when my mom went to rehab and living with my father. He was never home. We live right next to a bar. I'm like 10, 11 years old, cleaning up a bar to be fed food. And then living in the winter time, I had to learn how to start a fire and learn how to like keep a room like cold. I remember just laying in bed and not moving and being like, this spot right here is so warm, and if I move over, I'm gonna be freezing. So just like learn. And she was just like, it's normal to like feel like you're finally safe, like you finally like you're made it. I'm just like, you know what, I did make it, and it feels good.
Oh, it should. Oh my gosh, I'm crying. You should be so proud of yourself. So how do you, did she say any tips of like, how do you teach your body? Like you're okay now, you know, how do you?
So what I'm going through now is learning how to live instead of surviving, which is different. Like you gotta, I have a very survival mentality. Like
if the same way
something happens, like we're fixing this, we're surviving. Like this is not going to happen again. I have that survival mentality, like where you don't feel vulnerable either. You just have like constantly, we're going to fix this and get this done. Like so like just to live and just to, you know, just to be grateful for life and to take a step back and just enjoy life is what I'm trying to, you know, like what I'm learning to do. And just it's okay to like, you know, to not look over your shoulder, and it's okay to just, you know, be content and be happy.
I feel like I had to, which you might relate to this, more so than but I feel like I had to relearn how to be motivated and how to work because I left my house at a very young age. I was at the point of not wanting to be around anymore. And I had a moment. I was like, I have to get out. If I want to live, I have to get out. So I left by like 17 and was working several jobs, going to school. So it was constant. And the alternative was being homeless was, so I didn't have an option. And I learned to thrive in that.
Yes.
But then once I got out of it and like once I graduated, because like, okay, when I graduate, everything will be okay. It's like my body shut down. And it took me years to learn how to be motivated, not because the alternative is like something horrible.
Yeah.
Like to just be able to work, without having to have that to push me.
Yes.
So that was really fucking hard. And it took a long time. And I feel like I'm just now, my nervous system is like healthier.
Like, listen, this is what I got to do.
And it's, like in a healthy way, not in like, if not, I'll die kind of way.
If not, the world's going to come to an end.
Exactly. Because it's like, before it's like I'm working because if I don't, I remember if I would get sick, I would like go into these panic attacks because I'm like, how am I going to pay rent? And because I was working paycheck to paycheck, like to the dollar. Like I did not have anything left before the next check, like to even like get gas. And I remember being like, oh my God, okay, I think I'm getting a cold. Like, what if I can't work? And it's like you're in that mode for so long, and it's like your nervous system just wreaks havoc on you.
Yes.
So having to unlearn so many things and.
Yes. And I don't know if you struggle with this. When I have off days, like the rare off days that I get, and you're just sitting in the house not doing nothing, it like bothers me. I can't do it. I'm just like, oh my God, I got to be doing something. I don't feel right. Yeah. Like I can't do this. And my therapist is like, no, you need to sit down and rest. Like, see, your body is just like, I was telling her, I'm like a car. You know how as soon as you get in a car, you start it up and you instantly go. You're not supposed to. You're supposed to like let the car, turn on for a second. I'm like, no, I start up my car and I'm like full throttle. We're speeding. And you kind of learn to like work from like the place of anxiety. Yes.
Like you get yourself, like I'd be like chugging my caffeine and like go. But then you crash. So then it'd be like a cycle because you burn out because you're going too fast. And then you're like, you have a day like, oh my gosh, I can't even get anything done. Yeah. And it's like, because your body's not supposed to be doing that. Yeah. Like, especially as women and going through cycles and everything. Like I just talked about this on one of the last episodes. It's like you have times where you're supposed to be more calm and like stepping back from things and resting more. Yeah. Like, what the fuck is that?
I don't do that shit. Where is that time at? Because I feel like we're just fierce.
Because the world was built for men.
It was. Yeah. And now that we're like in the place, it's like, it's fierce. I need some resting. I garden a lot. So that is my.
Oh, I love that. Yes. I wish I could keep plants alive. As you can see, I mean, these are fake. That's the best I'll do. But that's pretty cool.
Succulent. No, I have I kind of whenever I turn 30, I'm 31. So right before I was turned 30, I was just like, you know what? I want to heal myself. I'm going to do like that EMDR therapy, like the hip. Yeah. So I'm like, I want to heal myself. I want to walk in a business owner being successful. I want my kids to be like, yes, my mom is a strong, my mom is badass, so I want to just have that and just be happy with myself and not just program. Cause sometimes I feel like I programmed myself, you try. And I always tell people know me, but no one really knows me personally. People would never know any of the shit that I went through, none of my life stories. So people would be like, oh my God, yes, we know Miss Lexi. We love her. We know her so good. And I'm just like, yes, yes and no. Yeah. But,
you're gardening. You're talking about gardening. Yes, my gardening. So did that help you?
So yes, that was part of one of my, I just have a green thumb. My mom and my grandparents were gardeners. My mom was a gardener. And I just was just like, you know what, let me dabble into this. And I literally have over 100 plants in my small little place. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
I love it. And then my goal is though to eventually buy land and to grow whatever I consume.
Well, I know you'll do that because you're going to do whatever you set your mind to.
Yes.
You're amazing. Yes. And such a badass.
Thank you.
And you should be fucking proud of yourself.
I am proud of myself. It's a lot. I was talking to my niece the other day and, I was like, you know what? People could tell me they love me and I don't feel no type of way. But as soon as someone tells me they're proud of me, it makes me want to cry. Because, you don't hear, when you come from our upbringing, an upbringing of trauma, you're not used to people hearing I'm so proud of you. You're doing your thing. I'm proud of you. So I'm just it always
feel that way too. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, it brings tears. People could be like, oh my God, I love you so much. You mean so much to me. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. And then when someone says, oh, I'm so proud of you, Lexi, it literally makes me want to it makes me bring tears to my eye. I'll be crying in front of a stranger and they're like, all I said was I'm proud of you. I'm like, I know, so I'm just emotional today.
Oh my gosh. I love that. Okay, so I wasn't planning to cry
No, I was like, now my nose
I've been
is
crying. This is the first episode where I've cried.
Oh,
So this,
yay.
but it's been so great. And yay, cry again.
Cry again.
But I really appreciate you sharing your story. And I think I knew we'd get along. Like I could tell, I know I'm gonna like talking to her, but I think being able to share it, even if it's hard, I think is just so empowering to other people.
Yeah.
And gives them so much hope, and seeing what you've been able to accomplish with literally like nothing to set you up for that.
Yeah. And that's what I have to keep reminding myself, because sometimes I don't like to tell my story, because I mean, like, when you live in Naples, like, you know, like people like look at you different, and trust me, I've already looked at different now. My kids are biracial too, and they're as tall as me, so I'm already looked at differently.
Fuck them.
I know. Oh, that's what I love. I love it when they're like, "Oh, you're the owner," and I'm like, "Yes, I am."
Yeah, exactly.
I am the owner.
I think getting comfortable in that is so powerful.
Yes.
And you realize that if someone else is uncomfortable with you, it's, I mean, that's their own shit being triggered. That has nothing to do with you. That's their own stuff that they got to work through. That's their problem. You know, what they think of you is their business, not yours. So to wrap this up, what is something that you would tell yourself at like 15 when you were just like starting to work?
Dang.
With how far you've come now, if you could tell her.
Don't get pregnant. Right. As to like, don't fall in love. No, I'm joking. Definitely don't have a baby at 18 yet. I mean, but if you do, it's definitely possible. What I would tell myself at 15, to love yourself. Don't look for love anywhere else. Just love yourself. It would have definitely gave me more. I would have never questioned myself so much in my like where I was at in life with my jobs and relationships. Just to love yourself more, believe in yourself, and push yourself. I mean, I just definitely love yourself. Loving myself was definitely something I didn't do. I never had it installed in me, and loving, I mean, still to this day, I still feel I struggle with like loving.
It's hard.
It is.
It's hard when you didn't get that and you had no comfort in that, you know, from anybody else.
So it feels uncomfortable to me.
Yeah.
And so, just to love yourself. Love yourself.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for being here.
No, thank you too. I had a great time.
Good.
I like how you're vulnerable with me.
I know. I was like, I didn't plan to open up on this, but I think it's so important to share your story, and it is so inspiring. And I'm so excited to see what else you do, and watching even from, I feel like, afar is amazing. So I'll have to bring my daughter in. Yes. She would absolutely love that. I feel like now she's getting to that age, so I definitely want to bring her in. Oh yeah,
spa day. She's going to be ready. So, Taylor Swift day, unicorn day.
Yes. She would absolutely love that. So definitely. But thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Absolutely love chatting with you.
Me too. I did too. Thank you.